All right, and welcome to episode 7, I believe, of Diabetics for Diabetics Radio. I am your host, Bowie Madison. I have type 1 diabetes. I have had that for 21 years. I am in the process of healing. I am healing and I'm sharing things as I go. And I just completed episode 6 on magnesium and diabetes sometime last week or the week before. And I'm looking to basically investigate the terrain of diabetes, the disease itself, the bodily processes behind it, the logistics of it in terms of what healing looks like, what management, where we stand as diabetics in the medical system, the insurance system, and how we as a diabetic collective can come together to accelerate our healing. So today's episode is titled, Where is Diabetes Going? And how diabetics can play their part in setting a destination. So I want to look a little bit further into how diabetics relate to the structures that are in place right now that are responsible for treating and managing our conditions. That is to say, the medical system, the insurance system, pharmaceutical companies, and things like that, that we are relying on to care for our conditions. So, like I said, I've had type 1 diabetes for 21 years. I have used Minimed, I've used T-Slim, I've used Omnipod, Dexcom. I've gone to my endocrinologist, 3 to 4 times a year for, those 21 years. So I'm very familiar with how the treatment system works in the United States, which is where I am. And I wanted to make sure that people knew that there was more, or at least understood the dynamics of the system that we are in right now, so that if they are unhappy with the results, which is where I'm headed with all of this, things that they can do to address that. So most likely you are here because of my TikTok channel, which I started a couple months ago, talking more about my successes that I've had in using alternative means to healing my diabetes. And I was so amazed with the outpouring of support, of questions, and general curiosity about diabetes. And this was coming from diabetics. And that was alarming to me because I realized that diabetics knew very little about diabetes, which is an issue. And so I have always been very curious and sought different answers, multiple sources. I've always kind of taken what someone has told me and put my own spin on it. So I kind of took for granted that my diabetes was mine and was something that I had autonomy over. And that's not the case with a lot of people who have diabetes now, who are diabetic, relying on their doctors, unhappy with the results that they're getting, but unaware of where else that they can go to help heal. And so there are a lot of very accessible things. So let's go ahead and dive into where is diabetes going and how taking action in your diabetes can actually accelerate your healing, or at least give you an idea of where the system that you're taking part in is taking you. So again, I just covered all of this. So I'm healing. I'm a type 1 I have had type 1 diabetes for 21 years. I'm healing. I test everything and anything under the sun. So natural remedies, herbs, supplements, vitamins, minerals. That is my main means of addressing my diabetes. I still use insulin. I am an Omnipod user, a Dexcom user. but I'm focusing on alternative means of restoring my own body's ability to create insulin. I am addressing all sources of as many sources of inflammation as possible to help mitigate the damage being done to my pancreas's beta cells and natural ability to create insulin. And I'm having a lot of success. So my A1C was 5.6 back in January, and everything just keeps getting better every day, and in every way everything is better and better and better. So fewer blood sugar spikes, my energy is better, my skin is better, I'm digesting food better. And again, I want to scream it from the rooftops. So this is kind of where this podcast came from. So why are we not seeing success with diabetes? So over 40 million Americans have diabetes right now. That's projected to continue to grow worldwide as well as nationally. So, in terms of the split of those 40 million, 90% have type 2, 10% have type 1. Technology continues to improve, um, which is excellent, right? We have tons of medications, blood glucose sensors now. CGMs are now Freestyle Libre, and the Dexcom G6 and G7 just came out. Those are all incredible things in terms of making sure that we as diabetics are very good at managing our conditions. Now, my first TikTok video that I ever made was addressing this very point, which is that technology continues to improve. And it basically was the birth of everything that has ever happened since. My TikTok channel, this podcast, my success, my continued success in healing diabetes. And that is that the technology is getting so good that I believe that it is getting a little too easy to have diabetes. And it really hit me that the companies that are tasked with managing diabetes are getting so good at it that having diabetes or not having diabetes doesn't seem to matter. And that has distracted us, the diabetics, from realizing what our true goal is. And our goal is to not have diabetes, right? The goal is not to have so many different toys and tools that it doesn't matter if we have diabetes. The goal is to not have diabetes at all. And we have lost sight of that. We either because of our belief that it was or was not possible, or our impatience in how the research was progressing, what have you. But I'm here to reignite the belief that there is a cure for diabetes, type 1 and type 2, and that, again, where we give our attention will grow. So we have been distracted by this incredible technology away from the fact that we should be spending more of our time healing diabetes as opposed to treating and managing. So, um, and on top of that, with the two points below that, even with this increase in technology as things begin and continue to improve, our results as a society in terms of our health are getting worse. We have never been more ill as a society than we are now. So, and that includes diabetes. Diabetes has turned into, kind of like a throwaway term of things that we don't know what to do with, right? First it was cancer, then it was heart disease, and now it's just like, yep, diabetic, just like everybody else. And we don't know what to do with it. We're not sure how to make it better. It all just kind of blends together as this kind of vicious cocktail of inevitable things. So we need to address this. So we need to figure out why we're not actually having success. So what is going on? We have all of these incredible resources going into researching. You think of, the American Diabetic Association, all of the money in pharmaceuticals, medical technologies, things like that. What's going on? So first things first, let's go ahead and look at where the money goes. Okay, so we need to understand the motives and the direction of those providing care, right? So I know if you're a diabetic, you've heard of the first two companies, maybe not the third. These are the three companies, Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, and Sanofi Health, that are the main donors for the American Diabetic Association. Now, this is the money that the ADA uses to fund research and all of the resources that they make available. If you're not sure of what the ADA offers, I encourage you to visit their website and see all of the things that they offer. Now, looking at the profits of these companies, now Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly are specifically related to insulin, and that's a lot of money. Okay, so 22.4 billion in 2021, 28.5 for Eli Lilly in 2022, and then Sanofi was $42.7 billion in 2020. So this is just shy of $100 billion being made off of diabetics. Okay, and Eli Lilly isn't just insulin; it's also some of the GLP-1s that, like Trulicity and Ozempic, those type of medications that are being used in type 2 diabetes as well. So there is a lot of money being made off of people having diabetes. Now, that just begs a logical question of, well, if I'm a company and I am making $100 billion off of people having diabetes, why would I want people to not have diabetes? And you have to understand that these are businesses, right? Businesses in the way the system works now, it's based on profit, right? They are all, I believe, public companies. I know Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly are. They have shareholders to answer to. Um, you know, you know the whole spiel kind of on how companies work, driving profits over everything, and so that begs the question. It's like, okay, yes, they are supporting the ADA in what they do, but again, they are very, very happy with the state of diabetes because more diabetes means more sales means more profits. Okay. Um, so what does it mean? These companies have vested interest in the care of diabetes. Now, you have to see the difference between care and healing of diabetes, right? To care for a diabetic means that they have insulin, they have the supplies, um, you know, information seems to have gone out the window. I would argue that most diabetics are uninformed on the condition that they have themselves. So they're not really sure of what diabetes is exactly. And that costs them the ability to address anything outside of what it is that the doctor is telling them. And the time spent in the doctor's office is at an all-time low. So you may be going to the doctor a lot, but in terms of the time spent actually discussing your condition with the doctor continues to fall. And that is just a recipe for disaster, as we've seen. So these companies that are there for the care of diabetes, right? They don't actually want diabetes to go away, because if it did, so do they, and so do their profits, right? So you think of all of the companies now that are reliant on diabetes. The American Diabetes Association itself, if diabetes goes away, so does the ADA. Dexcom, Freestyle, MiniMed, T-Slim, Omnipod, all of these diabetic companies are diabetic companies. They need diabetes, right? So again, and we'll talk more about this later, this isn't meant to inspire like hatred for these companies. Again, I am so grateful for everything these companies have done. They've made my life as a diabetic easier, right? Which in a sense, they've delivered on their promise, which is to improve the care of diabetes. We have kind of taken for granted that they were there to heal it, which I think we all know isn't necessarily so. So you got to follow the money, right? And understand the kind of unspoken agreement of what these companies are there for in the first place. So there are known profits in treatments, consultations, and guaranteed customers, right? So you think of all of the resources available to a diabetic. I mean, it's like a cash cow, because nobody with diabetes has just diabetes. And, we've kind of been living in this very liminal, in between space of knowing something about diabetes to help improve the treatment, but not enough to actually like cross the threshold of actually doing something about it. And again, we're left kind of with our hands out waiting for answers, and we just get more treatments and more means of managing and improved means of managing. So companies were not started with the intent to cure. That's just not what they're there for. We can't get mad at them for it. They're never, nobody in any of those places was like, yeah, we're here to get rid of it. Can't wait for it to be gone. They're like, we're here to help you live a better life as a diabetic, right? As opposed to, we don't want you to have diabetes anymore. Because for a diabetic company, people without diabetes aren't profitable. So where does that leave us as a diabetic collective? So we, the diabetics, in our implicit trust in the medical system to heal as opposed to treat, have been waiting with our hands held out. Like I said, we're waiting for answers. Like, where's the cure? How come you haven't found that? It's like, oh, they're not looking. That's not what they're there for. So in that time where we've kind of been like, oh, I thought you had it, and they're like, oh, you thought we had it? We don't have it. We've really we've become out of touch, and we've lost our ability to think critically about our condition in terms of education and actually learning about what it is. Understanding what it is going to make it a lot easier for us to address the parts of the condition. So again, we've just forfeited our ability to actually talk about it. So um, we all kind of can see how this goes. So why would I've just been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, let's say. Why would I need to know about type 2 diabetes if my doctor already does, right? I knew I didn't feel good. What do you do when you don't feel good? You go to the doctor tells you what to do, and you feel better, right? Okay, so told me I had type 2 diabetes, I need to take this medication and things will get better. And in terms of knowing about diabetes and educating myself on diabetes, my doctor, who went to medical school, which is just this incredible investment of money and time and resources. If they had to go to medical school to treat diabetes and learn about it, it has to be difficult, right? It has to be this incredible, complicated, complex thing that, if you look down, that I could not possibly be smart enough to handle on my own, right? So we've just been convinced that diabetes is just this unapproachable, complex monster that only the doctor could ever possibly be able to touch with their knowledge. And so we have an increasingly ill group of patients, right? The number of diabetics continues to grow. We're dependent, because we don't trust in ourselves to be able to educate on the condition itself, on a group of providers trained only to treat and manage the condition, right? There's just been this huge misunderstanding. We're expecting to heal with the unspoken mutual understanding that the provider is there to heal, when in fact they are not, and we're left wondering why things aren't improving. So in this amount of time, which has been decades at this point, we've just forfeited our curiosity and our autonomy over our bodies to a group of doctors, pharmaceutical reps, insurance companies that never agreed to give us what we wanted in the first place, which was to not have the condition in the first place, right? So it's like, I got it, you got it, I thought you had it. No, I don't have it, I thought you had it. And nothing's been done in the meantime. So I'm here to change that. I'm here to educate. I'm here to let you know that it doesn't have to be that complicated. There are things that you can do immediately to improve your condition, and that it can be done. It can be done. I'm living proof. I can't say enough, right? So in this kind of like, oh, I thought you had it. No, I don't have it. We're kind of ignorant and dependent, right? So we have no self-awareness, confidence, or ability to take action when it comes to our health, right? We know nothing about diabetes, the treatments, the alternatives to the treatments, right? We're just like, well, my doctor didn't tell me, so what was I supposed to do? And then you realize, oh my God, I am dependent on what my doctor says, both legally and personally, in terms of having independent thought. So, um, even, like myself, I have plenty of people warning me daily, like, hey, you need to be careful about what you're sharing. And that's because there is so much tape um, talking about medical conditions. And, you know, myself having had diabetes as long as I have, my experiences over 21 years have just been invalidated, right? It's like, oh, well, maybe it worked for you, but you're not allowed to share that because you're not a doctor. I was like, no, I'm not a doctor, but I've had this and I did this and it helped me. So why can't I share this? So a lot of different ways that we've been catering to kind of elevating the medical community to be more than I believe that it needs to be. And again, it's cost us because we have no concept of what else there might be outside of what our doctor is telling us. And with that, we have no means of discerning good or bad information. So there is a lot of information being told about diabetes, a lot of conflicting information, right? That's one of the things that a lot of diabetics have trouble with, is how do you know what's good and what's bad? If I have no idea what diabetes is, I have no reason not to believe what someone tells me. And what someone tells me, maybe someone's selling snake oil, just trying to make a profit, like the companies um, that are in the pharmaceutical and medical technology areas. So again, we're just kind of left out in the breeze with our pants around our ankles, and real change is going to come about when diabetics themselves start to take back their power. So what I don't want this to be, and this is usually kind of the rah rah speech to incite the masses, and what people do, like, yeah, we hate the insurance companies, we hate the doctors, we can't be trusted, and that's not what I want. That is not at all productive. That's not helpful. Um, Anger, spite, and trying to get back at somebody, like taking revenge, is just so counterproductive, right? It's like, okay, we are where we are. I've learned my lesson, right? If every diabetic can kind of look themselves in the mirror and say, okay, I've learned my lesson. Um, they are a tool. They are not the answer. They are a tool. I don't hate my doctor. I don't mistrust all medical establishments. Again, if I have been misled many times before, do I trust in those things less and less? Yes. But that does not mean that they are of no use to you, right? They are a tool for you, the diabetic, the living, breathing person, to use on your own. Okay? So we need to come from a place of love, healing, understanding, and gratitude, for ourselves and our own ability to heal in order to actually accomplish anything meaningful, right? Um, And so, what I don't want to do in that same breath, a lot of people kind of write off their doctor, write off the medical establishments. They're like, okay, I'm on my own. And then they resolve to do everything themselves, and they realize how little they have. It doesn't matter how long you've had it. You, you weren't educated on it. what education you sought, you realized, oh my God, there's 10 different sources whom seem like they're trustworthy telling me to do 10 different things. And, it can lead people astray, right? And then the medical community uses that as ammunition against alternative means of health, because they're like, oh, see, I told you, you can't go outside of what I do, because if you trusted everybody who's saying that they have something, you're not going to get anywhere, right? So there is a learning curve. There is a learning curve there. You have to give yourself some time of grace to kind of ground yourself in a deep understanding and make small, meaningful improvements. Okay, so you have to take inventory. What do you know? What do you know about diabetes? Your pancreas, your whole endocrine system. What do you know about nutrition, right? The goods, the bads. Most people have a good understanding of what it is they should be eating and the things that they need to avoid. Again, there is some crossover. I'm a firm believer in the fact that there is very little all or nothing. So it's hard to say like, oh yeah, all of this is bad, all of this is not bad. That being said, if you're eating fast food 7 days a week, you probably know that that's not good. Um, and about mental health, right? Stress has such an incredible factor in exacerbating and actually creating um, disease and illness, right? So, are you feeling like you're living at 1,000 miles an hour with your running around with your head cut off all the time? That's a problem. That's not what life is supposed to be like, right? So, what are the things that improve your health that you are not doing? And these are the three things that are just the lowest hanging fruit. Are you exercising regularly? Are you getting sunshine? Are you moving around? Improving your circulation, increasing lean muscle mass, however it is that you want to do it, you got to start moving. You got to start moving. And again, baby steps. Just start doing something. Go for a walk once a day, 15 minutes maybe. Get up and down off your couch 15 times in a row and just like start moving. We've become sedentary in our ways. Hydrating, making sure you're drinking enough water and getting your trace minerals, magnesium, sodium, potassium. Again, I've covered these types of things in previous podcasts, and there will be more to come getting into the nitty gritty of it. But drinking water and using water to replace some of the beverages that you shouldn't be drinking, like soda and sweetened teas and all of that kind of inflammatory food, which leads to the next point, which is eating whole foods, right? So if you're not cooking your food, using whole foods, vegetables, fruits, and avoiding fast food and inflammatory things like palm oil, canola oil. There's a million different things I could list off right now, but it's really more about we have this inkling, kind of have this deep understanding of what it is. We kind of know what we need to do, right? Whole fruits and vegetables, more water. Again, most people's conditions are going to improve just making those changes, but don't let the fact that you don't know, like, well, do I, should I eat this and not this? Don't let that dampen just the small, like, hey, I know I shouldn't be drinking 4 sodas a day. Let's make it 2 and alternate with water. It's like make the little changes that you are sure need to be made. Right? So do the things will help, do not do the things will hurt. Seems intuitive, but then, when you get people who feel like they have run out of options, you ask, well, are you doing these simple things? And they say no. It's like, okay, well, why not? Those are the simple things that you should be doing. You just feel so defeated in not knowing that you miss out on some of the low-hanging fruit. And start small, start slow, right? So people are like, well, I drank water for a week and nothing happened, so I stopped. You're like, man, it took you your entire life to get to where you are. And you inherited some of your conditions from your parents and their parents. So it's like, it's not going to happen immediately, right? You have to commit, right? So all of these results arise from consistent habits, celebrate, like have gratitude for those small daily victories, making the choice between something healthy and something that you did before that hurt you, right? And you have to trust and believe in actually reaching your goal. So um, you have to believe that it is possible. That's the first one, right? Because you can do everything right, but if you're doing it begrudgingly the whole time and not believing that it is going to help, it it won't help, or you're going to severely limit how much it does help, right? So um, don't be so hard on yourself. Doubts, fear, anxiety, old habits will be there, right? You've been doing these things and having these things your whole life. That's how you got the disease. So they're not just going to disappear overnight, right? So you're going to have the cravings. You're going to see the restaurant that you want to go to. Like, it's okay. Like, you're going to be okay. Some people have success just saying, no, I'm never going to do this again. Some people are like, okay, I've gone this long. I'm going to treat myself this one time and then go back to my improved ways. Start a conversation with yourself. Acknowledge the doubt, fear, and anxiety. You know, it's okay to be afraid to change, right? Change is difficult for everybody. But again, you have to recognize that the fact that you were consistently doing those things were what got you where you are. You are not happy with where you are, so you need to change those things in order to get you where you do want to be, right? So um, find a way that works best for you in terms of moving past that, right? And I want to say that that's the end, right? So we can do this. That's really the end all be all. Diabetics will be who heal diabetes. I believe that wholeheartedly. We've kind of become resolved that it will come from some sort of lab grown in a petri dish, this big procedure that you're going to need insurance for. I am just so past that. I am not at all a subscriber to that. I think it will be done naturally. Foods, nutrition, exercise, that will be what cures type 2 and type 1s, right? So, type 2 diabetics, you need to know that people are losing their type 2 diabetes and living a medication free life every day. Every day. Hang around my channel on TikTok. You will see them in the comment section. People having success not having type 2 diabetes anymore. Okay. So, and then type 1s, you'll see, I have written, have more mental blocks to overcome because we've been convinced we're more complicated than type 2. And like, oh, it's genetic. Oh, you know, I need to rely on a transplant, things like that. This is changing. Our understanding of the disease is evolving. Those are all concepts that we have just accepted as so for decades, right? And there has been very, very little progress um, to move any of those forward. So in the meantime, we've kind of just become kind of this woe is me, kind of stuck with this, nothing we can do, and it's cost us a lot of time in actually resolving to change it, and it is changing, right? So type 1s, there is hope. I'm having success regenerating. We can naturally regenerate beta cells. We can naturally reduce inflammation. Those two things are what brought about type 1 diabetes. So addressing those two things and improving those two things, there's no reason you can't get rid of type 1 diabetes. That's how I'm reasoning things. So that's it for the episode. Thank you so much for being here. Again, all from a place of love and gratitude. Understand where your doctor is coming from, the establishments that they are born of, and what their motives are, and not having that incite anger or fear on your part. Just understanding that that is how it is. You see it for what it is. You use it for what it is. We just have so much incredible technology that I know we're all using on a daily basis. There's no reason to hate it, right? It's helped us for this long, but now we are needing to go out on our own a little bit more and explore ways to heal as opposed to treat and manage. And I welcome you to Follow and subscribe both on this YouTube channel as well as on TikTok. I'll have it all linked in the description. All right. So thank you so much for being here. Again, this is Diabetics for Diabetics Radio. My name is Bowie Madison. Wonderful things are happening every day in the world of diabetes, and thanks for being here. All right. Bye-bye.